it just keeps getting better for the Montreal Canadiens. On the heels of some great offensive performances and comebacks, it's actually the defense that has been the biggest X factor. In a recent article from The Athletic, plus some stats from Money Puck, paints an incredible picture of the Habs decor now and the specific shift from last year. We got to dive into all of that. Plus, the Habs special teams has been an interesting point of contention this year, and one move is more clear than ever. And finally, some big Habs prospect updates, including Alexander Zhuravsky putting up some ridiculous numbers in the KHL. So much to get into on this episode of Habs Digest, and we'll start with the prospects, Jesse, and we'll actually start a bit with Joshua Waugh, because it's him and Zhuravsky we'll talk about today. Yes, Xhekaj got an assist recently. Hayden Papanicus scored his first goal recently, but there's a couple of guys that have been standouts so far, and with Laval playing tonight just after the recording of this video and Jacob Fowler getting the net, Joshua Waugh has been a great performer, Jesse. I mean, look, I know he's one of these guys that we have kind of relegated to a trade piece in some ways, but he's leading the team in goal scoring and tied for total points, 3 goals in 2 games. I mean, how you feeling about Joshua Waugh's start? Because I think for him, he knows too, like, this is really his last year, his contract year. He got to make some noise, and so far he's doing it.
Joshua Waugh still hasn't given up on his hope of making the Montreal Canadiens full-time, because Josh, there's nothing like the team that drafted you for really carrying wanting the best from you. You know, for sure you can go to another place. It's never quite the same when that's the team that really drafted you and believed in you. Yeah, it's looking like a trade's going to happen, and that's unfortunate because it's looking like there's a player here. But, like, Ken might need to hold the phone just for 2 seconds, because Joshua is doing 2 major things right now. One, he's stepped up his compete level. Secondly, he started to go in those harder places on the ice to score the goals. And again, early on in the season, just 2 games in, 3 goals, of course, but just the fact that we're starting to see him be less on the peripheral and starting to get more, playing more of that interior game is amazing, because he has the right skill sets. And, like, I'm just encouraged, Josh, because he's saying, like, I know I need to be more than an offensive player. I need to bring that defensive side of the game. So for me, like, the fact that he's owning it of what he needs to do, it's definitely looking like a trade is going to happen at some point, but we're going to need to monitor to see what's going on, because Hughes isn't beyond, kind of taking a second look if he sees he's scoring goals, but also bringing that complete game into the picture as well.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I think he can still get there, but I mean, look, he has a whole season to do it now, and there's lots of time before Montreal may trade him or before, his contract runs out, so I'm excited to see how this season goes, and it'll hopefully serve as some good motivation. But one guy that seemingly needs no motivation, Alexander Zhuravsky. I mean, this dude is nuts, right? He got 2 penalties. He was benched for most of the last game yesterday. He only played 4 minutes time on ice, and he had 2 points, Jesse. He is now 4th on his team in scoring, despite playing like half as many games as everyone else. He's 1st in points per game, I'll tell you that. And this goal we showed in the intro, stepping out in front of filthy little backhander Alexander Zhuravsky, add him to the list of promising Habs prospects, Jesse, because him, along with Xhekaj, along with Papanicus, even Jacob Fowler didn't have his greatest first game in Laval. He's going out there again tonight. Our guys have all been showing up at the right times, and even Joshua Waugh, right? Like, the fact that so many of our guys are putting up performances like this is incredible, but specifically Zhuravsky, this guy, it feels like we genuinely have something special in him. And hey, even the 4 minutes and 18 seconds just makes me think of another certain Habs prospect.
And he's looking special because, again, like the skill, the way that he kind of controls the puck with like the stick handling, but also how he attacks the net. Like, we saw Demidov finish with a very nice backhander the other day here for the Montreal Canadiens. Like, he's looking like Demi, just a lot bigger in a lot of ways here. And again, we know there's a Russian factor, but we're just talking from like a pure offensive skill. And like, obviously Zhuravsky, just like Demidov, will need to round out other parts of his game, but like, putting pucks in the back of the net is really his MO, and he's just doing a great job of it so far in the KHL with very limited ice time. And we're seeing, like, Josh, he's using that big frame to also protect the puck. He's been doing some highlight reels just in and of that. Also attacking off the rush, setting up teammates. So he's just playing really a game right now that really suits how the Montreal Canadiens want to play as well. I'm just blown away from what we're seeing from him, because the ceiling looks like it just keeps growing every single day, the more that we see clips from Alexander Zhuravsky.
Yeah, him and even Xhekaj, right? They both feel like those guys that are like, you put them in the lineup now and they would fit perfectly. Just the way they play, the smarts and the skill. And, Xhekaj is maybe more advanced, like in terms of hockey IQ and decision making, but Zhuravsky's skill, I'd say, he might even be more advanced there already. There's so many different things. But look, we have the luxury to be patient with these guys because of how good this team looks now. Leave your thoughts on our prospect performances down below, as we do have to transition into the Habs right now. And look, for how good the Habs are doing, top of the Atlantic Division. There was a period before a little bit before the Carolina game ended last night that we were first in the East, but no, they ended up winning. They're 4-0. Credit to them where credit is due. But right now, Jesse, there's maybe one bit of contention, and it's the power play. It's like, look, right now, let me show it this way. We're 23rd in the NHL, right? We're only at a 15% power play clip, which is not great. And the big thing is our PP1 is out there all the time because they just play a great possession game, right? Even though they're not really scoring, they're keeping the puck in the opposing team's end, and our second power play unit can barely get out there. But if we look at some of the power play projections before the season here, that of course included Laine on that PP1, it included someone like even maybe a Newhook or whatever on PP2 with Demidov, and this is maybe before the Kirby Dach decision was made, whatever. Some of these projections, it had Laine out there, and Jesse, again, there's been so much good play from guys like Ivan Demidov that you start to wonder, right? When the PP2 is out there with him and Laine, there's kind of some magic that's going, and Hutson playing with Laine last year was so good, and a credit to Jared, one of our channel members, for suggesting to talk about this, but at this point, Jesse, for how good this team is, I still think Marty is definitely open to change, and with how good Demidov has looked in a lot of different situations, and with us wanting to get Laine rolling, I would actually not be surprised if the power play units saw a bit of some tweaking soon. Do you have any thoughts on that matter?
I think that Martin St. Louis is definitely the power play is one of the things that if he's looking at tweaking anything, it's absolutely it right now. And like we saw that chemistry between Demidov and even Nick Suzuki last night of that almost translating into a game-winning goal. And again, they're just equal parts like playmaker and finisher, both of them. That and in so many ways you can see them just being kind of like a Swiss Army knife in so many different situations. Josh, I'm going to list my 5 players that I think would be the best unit for the power play for the Montreal Canadiens. That being said, spoiler alert, like no disrespect to Cole Caufield. We know the amazing start that he's having to the season. Obviously, he's phenomenal. We just know that Laine is just like a pure shooter on the power play. And again, there is a lot of merit to kind of really getting him going. And again, the second part of that is kind of the Laine and then Lane Hutson combination. Like, I feel like if we want to get Laine going, it's by having Hutson with him. I have mentioned this a little bit earlier, whether that's on the second unit or not. Like, I just believe that Hutson's a PP1 guy. And if really Laine is kind of his shooter there, that he should be on PP1 to go with him. Again, no disrespect to Caufield. We love him. We know what an amazing season he's having. But I think this is an interesting thought exercise, Josh. Like, I love to get the thoughts from yourselves and also from the fans here. It's like, I'd have Hutson. I'd have Patrik Laine. That combo in itself is lethal. It could probably stop all of our problems. If that doesn't solve it, then I definitely look at having both. I'd have Nick Suzuki, obviously, as a center on that. Demidov, I think, is just obviously, like, in the offensive zone, like, it's hard to, like, say that there's a better purely offensive player. That's just going to get better over time. Do we need to wait to see that happen? I think as Montreal Canadiens fans, we already realize that. And then I put Slafkovsky there, kind of playing in the front of the net, a little bit of that hybrid bumper type of position there. So that means the second unit would really consist of Caufield, Dobson, Bolduc, Dach, and Nui there. I would want to really top load that. But of course, we know on that second unit, like Bolduc and Caufield, I would say that that's like the primary kind of go-to options. You're looking at Caufield first. If that's taken away, you're loading up for Bolduc for a shot, looking to get some rebounds from there. Again, I don't feel like there's any sort of panic that we should be having on the power play. I think we could figure it out. I have been an advocate since the beginning of the season, really kind of like loading up one PP unit with just the very best we have. We got so many other good players. I think that'll just translate to 2 good units, but it might be worth looking at to kind of really top load it since maybe we're not getting quite the results we would like from there. That being said, we're not pressing the panic button at all. We know that there's going to be a lot of time for this to develop. And we got options here, right? We got shooters in Caufield, Laine. Just kind of depends on how you maybe want to skin this proverbial cat. But I feel like just, Caufield's going to eat at 5v5. We want to get Laine going on the power play.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that, right? Like, I do find it hard personally to have Caufield down on the second power play. And, like, I think for me, I mean, I'm very similar. I think my change would just be maybe just getting rid of Bolduc for Laine and just trying the Laine Caufield again on that first power play with Suzuki and Slafkovsky, and just moving Bolduc down and having Demidov feed him those slot shots from the bumper spots. So I'm similar to you in the sense that I do want to see Laine back on the PP1. Despite him really not having a strong start to the season, this is how you get him going. This is a guy who scored 20 goals in 50-something games last year, and having him on the PP1, I think, is a very reasonable option, and we'll have to see what Marty St. Louis does. So I'm similar to you. I still have Demidov on the second power play. I'm just swapping out Bolduc for Laine, putting Suzuki, maybe put him up in that bumper spot. I don't know, maybe Caufield there. I think it's kind of what he's done before. Caufield in the bumper, Laine on the left, Suzuki playmaker, Slaf in front of the net. It's worked before. We'll have to see if it works again, but that's a great thought exercise. Leave your thoughts down below in the power play, because the thing is, we have so many guys that could be good on the PP1. That's what makes this decision so difficult. So really exciting to think of how Marty's going to tweak this. But the final thing we got to get into today, Jesse, well, let's just dive into it here. And it's the defense. It's the other end of the puck, right? The offense has been pretty good. I wish we could have scored some more versus Nashville, but we did have some good shots. The defense is crazy, and I want to just open with this here. This is from Arpen Basu's recent article at The Athletic, which is linked down below. The Habs defensively after 5 games. Last year, 28th in terms of goals against per 60, and last across the board for a lot of the other major defensive stats, like expected goals against, shots against, Corsi against. But this year, 2025-26, we're top 10 in everything, including top 5 in expected goals against, and I believe that's shots against. But yeah, it's shots against. Unbelievable stuff from the Montreal Canadiens so far, and that's largely in part of this improved D-core. Hutson has played some great defense, mind you, but the D-core in general, Matheson, Dobson, has been a huge difference maker, and this is just what makes it just gets better and better, because a team that's finally clicking on offense, getting these clutch goals, is leveling up their defense. This hybrid system is finally working so much. And this year, make sure you put it to HD to see this. If not, I'll read it to you anyway. Hard to see, but it's hard to fit all the stuff into one graphic. I'm sorry. Expected goals against per 60 minutes. That's just straight up in terms of the shot quality you're giving up. Expected goals against your team with D pairings out there per 60 minutes. So per 60 minutes that these guys are on the ice. In terms of all defensive pairings that have played at least 50 minutes this season, which is not a crazy qualifier, I wouldn't say. Matheson, Dobson, they're 5th. Hutson, Guhle, 9th. 2 of our 3 D pairings are top 10 in the NHL in terms of fewest expected goals against per 60 minutes. The only other team that's up there are the Vegas Golden Knights, who are quite a solid team. Jesse, again, the defensive identity of this team is something that we have talked about, giving up fewer shots, giving up fewer goals, just cycling the puck. We're more aggressive in the neutral zone. It has transformed this team into what's looking like a powerhouse on occasion. Yes, some games are close, but if this can stay consistent, there's no reason that the sky isn't the limit for this version of the Montreal Canadiens.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a big difference between like having the defensive game as like a focus of your team. And again, there's a big difference between actually playing a lot better defensive hockey and making that a reality. That was a huge focus for the Montreal Canadiens. The fact that they're going from expected goals against of 4.17 to 2.14, that was the biggest part of our game that we needed to change from last year, especially the early part. The fact that we're getting an early sign on this, Josh, isn't just showing that what we're doing right now, that it's like a flash in the pan, but it's sustainable. And the fact that even the best is yet to come, if we can even produce even a little bit more offensively, which you have to feel is right down the pipeline and ready to come as well. You have to feel like a big part of this is actually like breaking pucks out efficiently.
Yes.
I've been so impressed in really kind of like shot count. Like, let's say the puck gets dumped in, you kind of can count to 3, like 1, 2, 3. They're getting outlet pass, getting the puck out of the zone very quickly to, again, play that transition game, which helps so much. And obviously, this is by design. They've invested in the D-core and Noah Dobson to play that type of transition game. Obviously, players like Hutson, becoming a phenom, obviously helping these defensive metrics as well. Of course, when we're translating from defense to offense, hard to think of anybody better in the NHL, maybe minus Makar Hughes at doing that. I don't know. I'm still a Hutson guy all the way.
Me too.
But it's the forwards playing like that defense as well, which is really just a big part of it. Like guys like Caufield buying in, and it's like, okay, the forwards or the defensemen are kind of jumping up. It's all about pre-handling in the neutral zone and kind of pre-handling there. But if they are coming through the neutral zone, the defensemen are getting a little bit more aggressive, knowing that they're going to be having the support from their forwards. That's what is allowing them to break out the puck so quickly, because they're being aggressive, then to get the puck going the other direction. So I think this has just been a great system put in place, but obviously the implementation, like that's a whole other world. The fact that like this is actually happening right now for the Habs is just absolutely completely phenomenal. It's going to be all about supporting this, continuing this as really the year goes on. But again, with the roster, the players that we have, you have to feel like that framework is solidly in place, Josh.
And it's something that it's the version of the Habs we wanted to see, right? That aggressive defense that can get these breakout passes, that we're getting the puck at our own blue line and we're firing it up the ice every time. You put endless pressure on the opposing team when you do that. And if they're not prepared, it's going to be very difficult for them. And that's exactly what happened to Nashville. We didn't score a ton last game, but we had a good amount of shots, especially in the second half of that game, that were high danger chances. But the decor has been unreal. And hey, a little shout out as well to Jayden Struble, who stole a spot next to Hutson in his first game of the season. Really interested to see how that pans out. Sorry, Arber, Xhekaj, but I still expect Xhekaj to draw in versus the Rangers on Saturday, just because, Matt Rempe, some other physical guys, but I don't know. It's going to be an interesting thing, but regardless, all these Habs defensemen, they're rolling right now. The forwards are playing defense. The team's playing the way we want them to play, and it's beyond exciting. Leave your thoughts on all this down below, because that'll do it for this episode. You made it this far. I think we deserve a like on the video. 15 minutes in. Thank you for tuning in every single day. I'm Josh Gosse, my co-host, Jesse Poirier. We'll catch you in the next one.